Hey, y'all. Welcome. Hello. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video will be my very first Draw With Me story time. A time lapse of an illustration done on Procreate will be displayed on screen while I regale you of a time long past. Yeah, the title of the video kind of spoils the ending of this cautionary tale. Hopefully, you can learn from my journey so you can avoid this calamitous destination. May the path you traverse lead you towards a more auspicious destiny than my own, one free from student loan debt and far away from soul-crushing misery. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Shannon, and my greatest passions are writing and drawing. I love to tell stories through illustrations, comic art, or penning my own books. My dream was to make a living by doing what I loved. I figured I could refine my skills by attending art school and earn a bachelor's degree while doing so. All the adults in my life had drilled into me that employers wouldn't even look my way without a 4-year degree of some kind. Might as well pursue something I'm passionate about, right? But passion, dreams, plans, these don't guarantee anything. And that's something I wish I had known back then. Had I known, I indisputably would not have taken out exorbitant student loans just to attend art school. To be fair, I didn't originally apply for art school. I first went to a university closer to my hometown, pursuing a more practical degree as a business major. But I quickly found out it just wasn't for me. I tried to switch to graphic design, which was at least a more creative but still marketable degree, but the school I was attending didn't have that as a major for some reason. Other local colleges offering graphic design had limited slots available for it, meaning it was possible to not get into it for years, so those were a no-go. I eventually settled on an in-state private art school. I could major in graphic design without being on a wait list, get a 4-year degree, and take electives for almost any other major available to try out all kinds of different artistry, which I did and ended up switching to an illustration major sophomore year. It seemed perfect for me, but there was a cost, a literal cost. It was way too expensive. I received a decent scholarship, but most of the tuition, room and board still had to come out of my pocket, which I totally did not have in full. So I was basically borrowing from my future self, and I'm still paying for it. That school was $30,000 per year. That was over 10 years ago. And apparently it's ballooned to over $42,000 a year as of 2025. I can't say I never considered the overall cost or that I never shuddered at the thought of being buried under student loan debt back then. It was always in the back of my mind. But my family kept drilling into me the importance of a 4-year degree and how there was nothing wrong with student loans and assured me I'd get a well-paying job after graduation. None of those things were true for me. A. I didn't need a bachelor's degree to become an artist. B. There's a lot wrong with student loans. A lot. It's unfortunate that so many young people in the US have no choice but to undergo debt to further their educations more often than not. Tuition costs are atrocious as well. I'm actually relieved to see that more and more teenagers aren't just diving headfirst into debt for a job field they might not even get into. And C. There was never a guarantee I'd get a well-paying job after graduating from college. Maybe that was plausible 20 to 30 years ago, but I was one of the lucky millennials who graduated a few short years after the last recession, so that's how I ended up working at a call center. I started to apply for jobs in my industry during my senior year. I reached out to companies that I'd met at a job fair on campus and even had a referral from a professor for a position that seemed promising. All went nowhere. With no art job prospects in sight, I started applying for whatever openings I could find. I had 6 months before those student loan bills would kick in, and I just needed a job. After many rejections and a few fruitless interviews, I eventually found out about a local call center from a family friend. She was a trainer at the company who made a referral for me, and I got a position there. Even though I detest talking on the phone in any capacity, I was grateful for the job. It offered above minimum wage with decent benefits, and I was in no position to be picky. This is the reality of many of us who attended art school. The art market, regardless of profession, is extremely competitive. A lot of us have to settle for non-art jobs that can pay well enough to cover the bills, even at jobs that are as soul-sucking as call centers. And please, I beg you to avoid working at one if at all possible. Don't be like me. What advice would I give then, based upon my lived experience? Avoid student loans. Do not take them out unless you absolutely have to. Even then, question the absolutely have to, especially for a private arts school. Who knows what kind of job you might actually get after college or if it will pay enough to cover loan payments. A lot of art-related jobs are freelance, commissions, temp contracts, or barely above minimum wage. After graduating, you may consider those as viable options. But if you're saddled with debt, you might not be able to take on an unsteady job that doesn't exceed a certain salary. And that job might make you so miserable that you could end up feeling too drained to pursue your passions in your free time. Speaking from personal experience. Consider alternatives to art school. There are so many resources available online, some of them are even free, that can teach the same information that an art professor would. If you'd prefer an in-person instructor, some art schools or cultural art centers in your area might offer standalone classes. Those typically aren't free, but at least you'd be guided by a teacher in a classroom setting. Another excellent resource would be your local library, where you can borrow books for a plethora of art subjects. Sure, you won't earn a degree that way, but having an art degree doesn't make you an artist. If you're creating art with your own hands, you're an artist. Know that nothing is guaranteed. You might go to college for one major, but end up graduating with a completely different degree. You might not get a job in your field of study at all. You might even have to settle for work you never thought you'd be doing just to make ends meet. I know a lot of us were told as kids that as long as we follow a few simple steps, we'd get the job we always wanted. This simply isn't true or realistic for most of us. But just because you don't get your dream job, that doesn't mean you have to give up on your dreams. No one can predict where our journeys in life will take us. Sometimes the best we can do is seek something to strive for and keep moving towards it. I can't tell you what path is most suitable for you and your personal situation, but I will implore you to be pragmatic, prudent, and really consider all options available to you. But above all else, I beg you, Avoid working at a call center. Please, just don't do it.